Yeah, McLovin.
Okay, another poll question. Do you blame Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers' loss last night?
No. I mean, Dave Roberts left him in. We thought if Kershaw gave you 5 innings, that's it. But, you just don't want to go to that bullpen too soon. I think there's always that tendency of, gosh, do I have to go there? Because once you go there, then you can't go back. And Kershaw had pitched well earlier in the postseason, had the back spasms, and I thought if he gives you 5 innings, which he did, he gave you 5 quality innings. And then you left him out there, and he had a couple of grounders. They got through, and then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened up. But I can't put all the blame on him, but it's not a coincidence that he struggles in the postseason. This is habit forming here for him. And it's strange to say, this guy's got $300 million. He pitches for the Dodgers. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I feel sorry for him. I do. Because this is something that stays with you forever. Whether it's fair or not, whenever I bring up Clayton Kershaw and I talk about he's one of the great pitchers, I have to say he's one of the great regular season pitchers of all time. Because he's an average pitcher in the postseason. When you're 11-12 and your ERA is over 4, and if I look at that and compare those numbers to his regular season resume, you don't even know it's the same pitcher. If I said this pitcher pitches this way in the regular season and pitches this way in the postseason, you'd go, there's no way. But that's been the case with Clayton Kershaw. Yeah, McLovin.
But I feel like in this year's playoffs, no starter, even the great ones who get past 5 or 6 innings, they're all pulling them. I feel like that was not on Kershaw at all last night. The Dodgers' bats just went to sleep. How do you score 15 runs and then do nothing?
But that's why I said, the tomorrow's momentum is tomorrow's pitcher. Like, who's on the mound facing you? Hey, they put up 15 runs. We've seen this before where all of a sudden the next game, the bats go quiet. I guess there's plenty of blame to go around. Clayton will bear some of that, and he should. Dave Roberts, should he have pulled him? I mean, we have the benefit of hindsight here. And those weren't hard hit ground, they weren't sharply hit. But then you start to add, one, and then there's one, and then all of a sudden all it takes is one big swing, and then you're in trouble. And that's the case. But the Braves have been a better team than the Dodgers. Dodgers have all the talent, should have all the answers, but this is a Braves team that, you're catching them at the wrong time. They're good. They're not afraid. Freddie Freeman has been great. These younger players, you got a pretty good pitching staff there. And that's where it gets when a team is young and gets confident. It's like the Miami Heat. That's a young team for the most part. They started to gain confidence. They weren't afraid. Hey, we went through the Milwaukee Bucks. Hey, we'll go through the Raptors. Hey, we'll go through the Celtics. You don't have time to think about that. Those are the teams that are really dangerous. When you're a favorite, it's hard to win when you're a favorite. Because even when you do, people go, okay. Like I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It felt like when the Dodgers win, you exhale. Like, whew. There's no celebration. And that's really difficult to play that way when the expectation levels are so high that when you win, it's like, okay, you're supposed to win. The Braves, even the Rays, and you can say the Astros for that, I guess the same direction. It's pretty amazing that there's no expectation level. There's none on the Astros, very little on the Rays, and there was very little with the Braves. And when you're able to do that and have that confidence and all of a sudden, and you love to be able to say, nobody picked us. Nobody believed in us. And these are teams that can all say that, except for the Dodgers. Yeah, Paul.
I know this is looking a little forward, but if the Dodgers don't advance, I think a lot of people think Dave Roberts will be fired, the manager. Do you think that could be a mistake? Because if you compare it to maybe like the 90s Braves, Bobby Cox, he only won one World Series, but I think he had 14 seasons where he won 90 plus.
Yeah.
Do you think the Dodgers management will appease the fans?
I'm not trying to appease the fans. I'm trying to make the best decision for this team. Now, I've heard both sides to this, And it's been reported on both sides that Dave Roberts, no matter what happens, is still going to be back. And then there's also, if Doc Rivers got fired by the Clippers, then will the Dodgers, be able to go into next season having flamed out and maybe not got to the World Series and still keep Dave Roberts? I don't know. By all accounts, people love Dave Roberts, the person. But managerial, decisions here, I think that's where you take a really long, hard look in the offseason of what some of those moves were. And I know, this is during a pandemic, and, you can put this season in a vacuum, but there were still decisions that were made, previous years' decisions that were made or not made, and, that might come back and haunt Dave Roberts. You got Dustin May, who's pitching, and then you got Walker Buehler. If they got to a Game 7, is Clayton Kershaw going to be your guy? Maybe in a relief situation there, but man, you've got to get some great pitching here, and then hope that you're able to. It feels like the Dodger bats keep waiting for somebody else to do it because there's so much talent in that lineup. You just go, he'll pick us up. Muncy will pick us. Seager's going to do. Bellinger, Mookie Betts didn't do anything last night. So it's not just Kershaw, but he'll be the poster child for when you think of the lack of success. If I juxtapose postseason to regular season, I don't know who comes close, who wants to come close to that. Greg Maddux wasn't a great postseason pitcher. Tom Glavine wasn't a great postseason pitcher. But if I'm looking at the stark contrast of numbers of regular season to postseason, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who's had a career that's similar to Clayton Kershaw's. Yeah, Paul.
Mookie Betts is hitting 143 in the series.
Yeah.
Bellinger's hitting 188. Seager's carrying them.
Yeah.
Peterson's carrying them too.
Yeah, McLovin.
It's not like the Braves had their ace on. They had some rookie that nobody even knew.
He was like 22 years of age.
Bryce Wilson.
But once again, these guys don't know better. That's why when you look at what the younger players in the bubble did in the NBA, it's because they didn't have to go into a foreign ballpark. They didn't have to face that, home field advantage or home court advantage for the other team. I mean, they were just there, nothing changed. You walked over, you played, and you weren't intimidated by anything. The Braves aren't in Los Angeles facing the Dodgers. They're in Texas. They don't know better. But, man, are they dangerous.